Hi Flosstube, this is Stephanie, the Ivy House Crafter. This is my Flosstube number 12, I think. It is Thursday, April 26th. I'm going to be trying to keep this kind of short because my cousin is coming over tonight and the entire house is a mess and it will take the entire day to clean it, so I gotta get this done and get to cleaning. So that being said, I'm just going to jump right on into whips. Let's see. This one is not, I didn't actually stitch on it, but I did do a little bit of work on it. This is my dolphin sketch piece that, a drawing that I did in high school and turned into a cross-stitch pattern using pick2pat.com. And what I did was, the last time I talked about this, I talked about how difficult it was to get the gridding stitches out of the actual work that I had done, because I used thread, and I had, you know, I tried to work around the thread, but sometimes the needle ended up going through the thread, and it was just kind of difficult. So what I did was, this is the next page that I'm going to do. That will be one of my Stitch Mania starts next month. I'm going to do a page start. And so what I did was I replaced this thick green thread with fishing line. And as you can see, it's really hard to see it, but it still will show the grid where I need it to if I'm paying really close attention, and it won't, I can't pierce it and get it all tangled up in the thread, in the floss as I'm stitching. So I'm going to try that out on this page and see how I like it, and I will probably end up doing that with the entire piece. But I just wanted to do just that one page to see how I like it. So that is Dolphin Sketch. Let's see, I worked on Grand House, and that is the piece I'm doing out of this Reader's Digest Big Book of Cross Stitch Designs. And it looks like this. Okay. Took it out of the bag, but I didn't fold it or anything. Let's put the notebook behind it. And here is where I'm at. I am loving this so much. I love this sampler. So what I did was, I think last time I had this part finished, but I added this tree and the two little stars, the one here and here, and I started on the cherubs. I got their little flutes and their hair, and just really cute. So all that I have left on this piece is I need to finish the cherubs. I need to put in our name and the year we were married, and then there is floral designs around the border. And once I get all of that done, then this piece will be done, and that will be super cool because I like it a lot. So that is Grand House. And this is on 28 count linen, Carolina linen, and I don't remember the color, but it's just a very natural looking linen. And I did not use the called for DMCs. I did my own conversions because I wanted the colors to be a little bit more vibrant. Not a lot, just a little bit. Okay. Next, I did some work on Spring House. And it was funny when I watched last week's video. I was talking about how I had worked on the gate under the house, so all the white down here, and then when I showed it, you couldn't even see it because I've mentioned before I film on a camera and I can't see the screen. I don't see what you're seeing until I go back and watch it at the end. So I was like, ah, I did all that work and I showed it like this instead of like this. But so yeah, last week I had worked on the white of the gate, and this week I filled in a lot of the, it's hard to hold this, the greens, and I put in some carrots in here, and I hope that this is showing up because it didn't last week. But you can see down in this corner the outline of where that little bird is going to be, and it's going to be super cute. So yeah, I'm just going to finish filling out all of this stuff and then work my way up along the trees and into the sky. So that piece is coming along nicely. It's just very bright, very cheerful, very springtime. So again, that's Spring House by Brooks Books, part of the House for All Seasons freebie collection. And I'm stitching this on 28 count. I took the sticker off and I put it on one of the pattern pages, but not this pattern page. I'm pretty sure it's Jobelin in dwarf, I think. It might be Lugana dwarf, but either way. And this is all the called for DMCs. Okay, and the last piece that I worked on this week was my design, Deer in the Woods. And so last time I had the border, I had the words. I think I might have had all of these, but I took a walk in, something like that. So I had at least some of the words up here, and I had all the trees and the deer and everything. Anyway, I went to go start and I realized that this border down here was actually up here. I had skipped these two repeats of this little border pattern thing, and so made this too high. So it came down and cut right across here. So I had to unpick the border. And so this is where I'm at on Deer in the Woods. I haven't put the border back in yet, but I'm going to, of course. But after picking it out, I didn't really feel like working on border at that point, so I just went ahead and started on the words. So I took a walk in the woods and came out. And it will say taller than the trees. That's a quote by Henry David Thoreau. So this is a piece I designed. It's in my Etsy shop. Stitching on 28 count, even weave. I think it's Charles Craft. It might be Monaco. The color is tea dyed. So, Deer in the Woods. And if you've been watching my channel, or my Flosstubes, you will notice that this is different. I went ahead and had my husband print out all of my patterns. Our printer is stupid. I've mentioned this before. We just have a really dumb printer, and I keep complaining about it, but not really doing anything about it. That is kind of the story of my life. I'm getting off on a tangent. The printers at my husband's work, they're really, really good quality, and he's allowed to, bring stuff from home to print every once in a while. So he printed out all of the patterns that are in my Etsy shop. So I can show you the preview page for all of them. So again, this is Deer in the Woods. And let's see. Oh, okay. This one is the Saxon Transylvania Band Sampler. It's so cool to see like the whole thing all at once instead of having to scroll through. So this is the one that was based on motifs and borders from the Charted Peasant Designs from Saxon Transylvania book. And I mentioned before in a previous video, I got permission from the publisher to sell the pattern. So yeah. I have Ye Old Band Sampler, and this was the one that I did when I didn't know if I'd have permission to sell Saxon Transylvania Band Sampler or not, and I wanted to have a super awesome, super detailed band sampler pattern that I could sell. And so these ones are for the most part motifs and borders that I came up with using the same general style. So different but awesome, and I'm going to be stitching both of those. There is a stitch along on Facebook, and I'll link the group page below for either one or both of these. You can choose which pattern or both patterns that you want to stitch, and we're going to be starting that on June 1st. My original plan was to stitch these for Stitch Mania, but I wanted to give all the other members of the group time to, you know, decide on and acquire the fabric and the floss and the patterns and everything. So, stitch along for the band samplers. And the Facebook group is called Saxon Band Sampler Sal. I'm so excited about those. They're going to take me forever, but they're going to be so awesome. This is my Springtime Sampler pattern. Now all these color patterns, if you buy them, they come with 2 copies. They come with, these are all PDF files, but you get the black and white PDF, so the pattern is all in black and white, and it's just the symbols. And you also get the color pattern, and that has the color with the symbol on top of it. So hopefully, you know, purchasing the patterns, you have everything that you need to be able to stitch. So that's Springtime Sampler, and then this one, I showed part of it, but I couldn't show the whole thing because the little program on my phone doesn't do back stitching. But this one has a back-stitched alphabet and a little bit of back stitching to add some detail to the birds. So that one is Summertime Sampler, and I'm working on Autumn Time Sampler right now. Although I might just call it Autumn Sampler because when I write out Autumn Time, it looks like autoimmune. And half the time it autocorrects to autoimmune, and I mean, it just looks awkward. So I'll probably just call that one Autumn Sampler. But it's got some pumpkins. It's going to have probably some corn stalks and maybe like a spooky kind of birdhouse. I'm not sure. And probably crows. So that one will be great. And then this next one you haven't seen before because I was still working on it last week, but I am so in love with this pattern. This is While Lilies Flourish, and it is this beautiful sampler, and I just love it so much, and I'm so excited to stitch this next month. I'll start it next month. It'll take a long time. But it's got the alphabet with, you know, upper and lowercase and numbers. It has this this poem quote thing. See how the lilies flourish white and fair. See how the ravens fed from heaven are. Never distrust thy God for cloth and bread. while lilies flourish and the ravens fed. And oh, I just love that. It's got the house, because houses are awesome. It's got birds all over the place. This one is my favorite bird. I like that one. And it's got little sheep and all sorts of flowers and animals, and there's a beehive with little bees. So yeah, this is While Lilies Flourish, available in the Etsy shop, and I love it so much. Okay, so those are my patterns that my husband so lovingly printed out for me. Let's see. Knitting. I did a lot of knitting this week, and I didn't plan well because I put my knitting way over there. Just a second. Okay. So, this is another super simple hat. This is the third one that I've made. It took me only 2 days to knit. This is for Audrey, my 8-year-old. She picked the colors and she picked the yarn. I didn't. Let's see. It is Caron Simply Soft paints, and the colorway is something to do with peacock. I don't remember, but it's bright and vibrant, and that suits her personality perfectly. She loves the colors, and it turned out just super cute. And then I decided I was going to branch out and try knitting a hat from a different pattern, so not the super simple hat. So, oh, I forget what this one was called. It's, I found it on YouTube. There is a YouTube channel. It's this, I think she's Italian, and I think she's like, okay, I don't know the details about the channel. I just know that I love her videos. It's Joanna's Web, and I will link her channel below, as well as the video for this hat. I think it's called the Trinity Stitch Beanie or something. Anyway, it is a pattern that uses 2 sets of circular needles. You can't do it with just the one. It's top down, and it's got this is called Trinity Stitch. It's kind of like a bobble stitch, and now it looks kind of funny now, but it will look really cool when it's done. It's kind of like a really slouchy hat. This has been a challenge, going from the super simple hat, which is almost entirely just working stockinette stitch in the round, which is just knit every row, knit, 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 and you know, going to this Trinity stitch. And the sequence for Trinity stitch is knit 1, purl 1, knit, or knit, purl, knit in 1 stitch, and then purl 3 together. It is hard to purl 3 together. Those stitches do not want to purl together, and it's really, really hard. So these rows are taking me a really long time. Each row, it's not as fast as just knitting every single row. But it's, well, I'm not going to say it's fun. Well, it's kind of fun. It's mostly just hard and frustrating. But I might, well, I'm torn between either just sticking it out and continuing with the Trinity stitch for the whole time that I'm supposed to, which is several more inches, or kind of just letting this be just like a band of Trinity stitch and then just knit stitching, or doing like a simpler fancy stitch. I don't know. I just know that it's a really difficult stitch for me as a beginner knitter. But I'm having an interesting, good time with that. But yeah, a lot of knitting this week. Let's see. I did a little bit of haul in preparation for Stitch Mania. I've been buying fabrics. Not all of these fabrics have patterns assigned to them yet. I'm just kind of like buying a bunch of stuff and thinking, okay, I'll use this at some point. This one does have an assignment to it. This is 18 count Vintage Country Mocha. I jumped on the Vintage Country Mocha train. Oh, that's interesting. So the back is not variegated at all, or like just barely, but the front has some nice variegation. And this will be for While Lilies Flourish. So, fish that out. This will be on this. And I kitted it up with the floss for it. So yeah, it's gonna look really neat. I'm looking forward to that. Really cool. So 18 count Vintage Country Mocha Ada fabric. And these fabrics that I'm showing right now are from 123 Stitch. This one is another 18 count Ada. This is Confederate Gray. And if I remember correctly, I bought this one just because I liked the color and I wanted some more 18 count because I really enjoyed working on the 18 count when I did Today While the Blossoms for my aunt. So this doesn't have a specific project assigned to it yet, but I will find a way to use this. And another one that doesn't have a specific project. This is a big old thing. It's like 20 inches by 24 inches of even weave. Monaco, Lugana, I don't know what all of those words mean. I know what even weave is. But this is an antique white. And it actually has kind of a yellow tint to it, which I was not expecting. So I'm not sure what this one's going to be for, but it's just a great big piece of fabric in my favorite count. I like 28 count. And I'll find something for it. And then just some Chousecraft white 18 count. And again, I'll find something for it. I might use one of these 18 count things that I've got for the ABC, for the Pokemon and Minecraft ABCs that I'm doing next month. I'm not sure. Yeah, not all of my Stitch Mania pieces have specific fabrics planned for them yet. Like I said, I'm just kind of collecting fabrics, and I think as I start pieces I'll probably just go through and see, this looks good, I'll use that one. So, is that all? Yep, that's all. Really short video today, because now I need to go upload this and clean like a mad woman, because I'm a terrible housekeeper, and so anytime somebody is going to come over, I am forced to deal with the repercussions of being a terrible housekeeper and have to do it all at once instead of, you know, a little bit every day like a normal person. People ask how I find time to do all my crafting, because I am a multi-crafter and I craft like all the time. And I tell them quite honestly, but they think I'm joking, oh, I just don't clean. That's how I have time. And you know, they laugh and I laugh and they think I'm joking and I'm like, haha, if you only knew. don't ever come to my house. So yeah, I will see you next week, and happy stitching. Bye.